Explore life's purpose by learning how to embrace each season of your life with confidence, strength, and purpose. Whether you're blooming in the spring, or shining in the summer, or embracing change in the fall, or gracefully hibernating in the winter, get ready to be inspired. Join us right here on this season of In This Season podcast with your host, The Butterfly. It's time, no matter what season it is.
Good morning, beautiful people, and welcome to Daily Motivations for African American Success. Well, we've been coming to you daily. Now we're on our 234th day. Unfortunately, had to miss yesterday, technical difficulties while traveling. But let's go ahead as you come in and let me know that you're there. And let's do what we do. Feed the ducks, get your groove on. I need them ducks this morning, you guys. You know, we talk about, are we feeding them in or are we feeding them out? I need them in this morning. So who's rocking with us? Let's see, who do we have? Miss Brenda Davis, great everything, everyone. It's a beautiful day. Are you grooving on in? Got your plate? I'm in the sunny Albany, Georgia, you guys. Headed back home today. Who else is rocking with us? Drop your comment in the section so that we can get this barbecue started. How was your yesterday, Miss Brenda? She says grooving and getting ready to get my coffee. Hey, look. All right, you guys. All right, let me end this baby so we can get the barbecue started. Told y'all I need the groove in, so y'all need to pump me up this morning. Pump me up. All right, so Miss Brenda, I saw your comments yesterday out there. Did you get anything going yesterday? I saw, I guess from day before, you had noted like this, something that was kind of keeping you back. I think it was about your weight, that you needed to create a goal. And it sounds like you're on a good start and good track. So you have to keep us updated with that. Hopefully you guys are working on step 1, writing the goal down. Hopefully you have did that. I'll post a step 2 out there for you sometime today, probably later than sooner. But are you doing it? Because next week we're going to have something together, a show together where we discuss and talk about those 5 steps. As I list, I may go ahead and list all of them today, you guys, just so that you guys will have them and be able to do what you want to do and need to do in order to get where we're all individually going. But using the same route to get there. May take a detour here and there, but using the same route to get there. So welcome. I'm not sure if Toy or Trent is going to join me this morning. I thought they were. Toy went to, update you guys. Brandon did not win, unfortunately. And I did talk to him a bit last night, and I could hear probably the most disappointed time of all times I've heard him talk. I could hear the disappointment, but he's okay. And it comes with the territory, but y'all keep him uplifted in your prayers as he travels back this way with his team. Just keep him uplifted. He's not hurt or anything. He's fine, but he's just wanted to win, of course, but he is A-okay. So let's get into it. Why do we come to the barbecue? Daily Motivations for African American Success will help you focus on the thoughts, attitudes, and deeds that will lead you to the achievement of your true goals. In 365 short but powerful motivations, one for each day of the year, Dennis Kimbro, who is also the author of the popular Think and Grow Rich, A Black Choice, leads us to discover how to use the present moment and our own gifts to transcend labels, cultivate a positive attitude, become wise enough to know when to say yes, but also wise enough to know when to say no, and when to look inward for answers to life's challenges. Each motivation begins with words of wisdom from such distinguished and celebrated African Americans such as, but certainly not limited to, Malcolm X, Marion Wright Edelman, Whoopi Goldberg, Charlene Hunter Gout, Bill Cosby, Carl Rowan, and hundreds of others. This treasure trove of practical inspiration will give you fresh encouragement every day of the year, but what it teaches will last a lifetime. Black Enterprise says that each affirmation in this thought provoking book takes only a few minutes to read, but it is worthy of more time for contemplation. And again, that is from Black Enterprise. For those of you who may be new, we're journaling through Dennis Kimbro's book, Daily Motivations for African American Success, but he's also the author, again, of the popular Think and Grow Rich, a Black Choice. If you've not been rocking with us and you are of a different race, please know that this is not just about race, as the book tells us that if there's anything that could reverse the fortunes of race, it is character. So hopefully we're building character through building self-awareness, and so much more. So let's get rocking into it. Miss Davis says, my weight is coming back down. Mike pulled me through it. Mike says, good morning. Yay, Miss Brenda. Yay, Mike. Big Mike says, good morning, everyone. Mark Walker, good morning. Good to see you back, my brother. Thank you for joining the barbecue this morning. Did y'all get y'all's groove on? Do you need a little bit of it? How about it? I need a lot of bit of it. That's for the ones who just joined us. All right, y'all. All right, let's feed the ducks. Our topic for today, let me go ahead and get that out. How did y'all feel yesterday not being able to connect here? So day 234, it's a brave new world. It's a brave new world. And our quote comes from William Gray, who is the former president of the United Negro College Fund. He says, courage is being brave when you know something isn't going to happen to you. Courage is being brave when you know something isn't going to happen to you. And it reads, have you ever stopped to think about how much more people could have, know, and do if they would only try? When Timothy erects walls between us and the things we would like to have or do, we need the courage to leap over our self-imposed barriers and achieve our desires, right? So courage is often a matter of simple logic. I remember a story about a man running toward a river. As he reached the dock, he increased his speed and threw himself as far out over the river as he could. He landed in the water about 10 feet from the dock, swam back, and climbed out. A bystander asked him why he jumped into the river. He answered that a friend had bet him $1,000 that he couldn't jump across the river. After thinking about the money, he just couldn't walk away without trying. Many things that appear impossible from a distance become quite feasible once we master the courage to make an attempt. If we step out solidly, there's always a way to reach every desirable goal. If the man who tried to jump across the river had courageously swum to its source, he would have found that he could step across it and win his bet. There's only a slight difference between keeping your chin up and sticking your neck out, but it's worth knowing. We cheat ourselves of the lives we could live because we're afraid to try. If we knew ourselves better, we would fear less and accomplish more. I'm going to read that one again. If we knew ourselves better, we would fear less and accomplish more. And our affirmation for day 234 is today I will generate the courage to tackle my number one fear. I know what it is and I will finally confront it. Today I will generate the courage to tackle my number one fear. I know what it is and I will finally confront it. So, well, we can do that. Miss Brenda asked, we're a day behind. Are we going to catch up this week? Y'all, we can if you want to. I was just going to pick it up and flow. So how did it feel yesterday? Did y'all feel a little off not being able to all of us start together like we've been doing? Um, y'all let me know if y'all want to catch up and get back on track. I'm open to it. So let's break this one down. Courage. Um, I'm going to say, I think we're not afraid to try, we're afraid to try and fail, that we kind of expect to fail. I've been looking at the courage as being brave when you know something isn't going to happen to you. I'm still quite not I don't know, up to date with the quote. I don't quite get it. Courage is being brave when you know something isn't going to happen to you. What do y'all think about it? Is it saying that you keep trying anyway, or because I feel like if you think it's not going to happen or know that it's not going to happen, then what do you do? What are we doing it for? What are we trying to do and why? So y'all tell me. And I tried to find some of the answers here in the passage itself, but um, I still don't quite get it. So if y'all got something different from the quote, please let me know in the chat, right? So what is courage? I'm not using my own mind this morning, you guys. So courage, I'm going to tell you guys, hold on. My battery's going down. I'm simply not ready. I told y'all I needed the ducks this morning. It's all right. We can make it work. I got it right here. So courage, the strength of mind to carry on in spite of danger or difficulty. The heart as a source of feelings, spirit, confidence, right? So, courage, I guess, when it goes back to this quote, let's look at it again. Courage is being brave when you know something isn't going to happen to you, right? It says also, when timidly erects walls between us and the things we would like to have or do, we need the courage to leap over our self imposed barriers. Now, that's something to contemplate on, self-imposed barriers, so that we can achieve our desires. It says, after thinking about the money, our guy here, he just couldn't walk away without trying. After thinking about the money. So what is it that you think about that gives you the courage to at least try? It was money for him. It was money for him that at least gave him the courage to try. But it doesn't sound like he thought it was really possible. And maybe that's where the quote comes in, is being brave enough to just try when you know it's not going to happen. But again, I don't know, I have to interject that one if that's where this is leading us to. I'll go back to just being afraid. Sometimes we don't try because we feel we're going to fail, right? Maybe the quote is saying whether you feel you're going to fail or not, at least try because you may not. Maybe, and if so, I can accept that one better. But I still want to believe that it's possible for me, right? If I'm going to try, I want to have a mindset of this is possible. And then if I don't reach it, hey, I at least know that I tried and that I believed that it was, right? So Big Mike says, I'm down for catching up. All right, we'll make it happen, you guys. Um, Let me know what you think about this one. This one's short. It's a brave new world, which says you got to be brave, especially in this world. But what we're doing now, which is working on our goals, you can't just be brave. You got to know what you're being brave for, right? And you got to know yourself. It says here, if many people, if more people would just know more about who they are, they do more, they try more. We cheat ourselves out of the lives we could live because we're afraid to try. If we knew ourselves better, how do you get to know do you know yourself? Right? If not, how much? If you don't know, then how do you learn more about yourself? How do you approach self awareness? How do you approach growing in character? How do you approach um, the possibility of getting off the fence so that you could at least try and be brave in this new world? It says, I think that's interesting as well, because we are in a, life has this world has changed, and maybe it's people more than life itself. Maybe it's just simply people have and are changing. There's no sense of that character, integrity that we talked about. People are just okay with mediocre, or just continuing to do life as they've been doing it, right? Maybe expecting life to change for them, but not putting the work in, not doing like this exercise that we're working on. If you've not, or even coming here 234 days now, how many of you have written down what your goal is? Or are you just starting to do it? Or did you start to do it yesterday? Because it tells you where you are. And if you're coming just to be motivated, walk away and do nothing. Or are you coming in to be motivated with action? You want to be motivated into action. Because if you're not taking action, if you're just coming, you are this quote: have the courage enough to come, but you know it ain't going to happen. Whatever it is, but do you know it ain't going to happen because you ain't trying? You're not putting action behind the coming here. Miss Brenda says maybe it means you do it anyway and don't have the fear in your mind. You know God is protecting you and has your back, as the saying goes, just do it. But Miss Brenda, it says when you know something isn't going to happen to you. Being brave when you know something is when you know something isn't going to happen to you. So maybe I'm reading that wrong then. Then something, just be brave, even though you know something, you still are brave. I don't know. I can't get that one. That's one of those ones like we had about a week or so ago. Brandon and I just could not break it down. So I have to spend more time of contemplating on this one. Miss Brenda, you have the book, so you'll have to do that one with me and help me figure this one out, because the quote is not fitting of the book to me. When you know something is not going to happen to you, maybe it's saying a negative thing is not going to happen to you. I don't know. But let's focus now, before we get out of here, on the affirmation. Today, I will generate the courage to tackle my number one fear. I know what it is and how I will finally confront it. Maybe this is something we should add to what we're already doing. What do you have a fear? If not, if you have fears, what's your number one? And what does addressing it look like? I know what it is and I will finally confront it. What does confronting it look like? Why is it your number one fear? Where is it rooted from? And so this is what it's talking about when it says, if we knew ourselves better, if we knew what's holding us back, keeping us from having the courage to live the life that we want to live. It prepares you to meet, having the courage and becoming self-aware. In my opinion, it prepares you to meet this life, your problems head on. right? With tenacity, resilience, despite of what it looks like. Hoping, hoping, hopeful that it will happen to you, right? Your goal will be birthed. It will come alive. You keep moving forward, like the guy who jumped in, keep swimming despite of what it looks like, the anxiety or the hardship that comes with it, right? So it's looking your life, your situation, your challenges, all of that, so that you can at least have the possibility of accomplishing your goals and live a not a perfect life for sure, not a life free of situations, circumstances, and things, but one of courage and hope and expectation of the things, of the desires of your heart. But a desire without faith, without action, because faith without what? Without works is dead. And you're only asked to have the faith of a mustard seed. It was interesting. I told Brandon yesterday, I said, this is the first time that I've never ever been had some form of anxiety about your fighting, right? And he was like, wow, we were texting back and forth. And this was before the fight. Now I do think as it neared, because I just chose not to kind of know when he was getting ready to fight or anything like that. So I didn't know until it was over. And my sweet daughter in love texted me, and then I had a conversation with her and then a conversation with him. But it was interesting. So I told him, I said, I'm really, really growing here. Right. And so even in the midst of this, with it not being a win, there's so much that came to my thoughts in the midnight hour, actually around 1:30 or so. I was just deep, deep, deep in some contemplation and thoughts about a lot of things, not just about the fight, but just how I will say that in when God is doing one thing, he's doing many things for many people, and it's working out some things in and out, right? In people and out of people. And so often we think it's just about us, that what we're growing through is just about us, and it's not. It's like the Pharaoh and the Moses story, all for a lifetime now, up until a few weeks ago on the show. That story of Pharaoh and Moses in my mind had been all about Moses, all about Moses in my sight, right? In my thought process. And then it was just as much about Pharaoh, if not more than it was. But I'm not here to measure it. I'm here to say, wow, it wasn't just about Moses and it wasn't just about Pharaoh. But for a long time, I missed the whole story about it's so that Pharaoh could see. And often we are allowed to grow through those things so that we might start to see differently, hear differently, react and respond differently. Because the scripture says, be transformed by the renewing of your mind. And I had this thought, and we'll get out of here in a little bit. I had this thought last night that I'm going to share today later. We talk about our cup runneth over and our saucer too. And we got in a conversation yesterday about God. It was several of us. We were, in the country. It was so peaceful, you guys, under the tree, sitting in our chairs and talking about God and some other things. And one of my cousins mentioned the word abide, that God abides in us, right? And so that word, when I was up in my thoughts and everything last night, came into my spirit, and it just would not leave. And I thought about the day we talked about our cup runneth over and our saucer too. And I don't know if you guys have ever had this happen to you, where you're getting something to drink. You get a glass and you go in the refrigerator and you get whatever it is that you're going to drink. And when you pour it in, it is the exact amount of what to the rim that, like, if you had any more, it would run over, right? And so again, this is like one something in the morning, and I'm having this talk in my mind, and I imagine that again because every time I do that, it amazes me. I think about God and our lives and how perfect, right, He is, and it gives me a sense of hope when it happens that way. So I thought about when the word abide, and we talk about the Holy Spirit abiding in us, right? And I truly don't. I think it abides in all of us, right? I don't think anybody is better or whatever. I think it's just a matter of it abides in us, but do we embrace it, right? Do we abide in it? So I thought about be you transformed of the renewing of your mind, and imagine if we're using the cup and the saucer, and that happens where you go to the refrigerator, you pour whatever it is in your cup, and it's the exact amount size. If a drop more would have tilted it over, right? Well, made it overflow. And I came back to when you pour, and I'm going to use, I used a glass, in my mind, it was a glass last night. But when you pour water or anything into your cup, into a glass, and it's the perfect amount, and then you allow God to come into your life, just to take it back to being brave, right? Um, God, me talking, y'all, my thoughts from last night, God doesn't need to take away or add to that cup. He renews, He continues to renew your mind, right? So that you take thoughts captive. He continues to renew your mind so that you forgive people, right? And so the water is being renewed, right? The glass without the water is an empty glass. The water without the glass, it's nothing, because there's nothing to hold it. Even what you poured it out of, it still needed a base. It needed something to hold it in. And so God holds us, He keeps us, He protects us. And to go back to that word, He abides in us. But do we Him? Do we know that the glass is holding the water, right? Do we know that without the glass, the water splatters, without something to hold it? So we need God to be brave, courageous. We need God to be hopeful. So every time you remember that He abides in us, that the Holy Spirit abides in us, so that we know we're guided, we know God's perfect will for us, which completes that be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind, so that you may be perfect, right? Wanting nothing, lacking nothing, right? Complete, whole, right? So that's just some thoughts that I'm going to share and this came about because I'm going to be doing a praise and worship dance on the song Waymaker, but it might be a bit different after my little journey last night with God. It may not be the typical praise dance that people expect. Nothing what I expected, but my big encounter changed some things about this whole process. And as I thought about the song, in that glass of water, in order for you to know that God is a way maker, right? You've had to be in a position or a situation where where it felt like there was no way out. Then He's your way maker, right? Miracle worker. You would have had to know or be in a situation where you needed a miracle, right? Promise keeper. You would have had to have seen or known that He's kept a promise to you, right? So it's way maker, promise keeper, miracle worker. light in the darkness. You would have had to be in the dark to know that he's been your light and he is your light. And as he continues to renew you, right, your faith, because as you grow through something, your faith grows and you learn how to trust God. You learn that God is the answer to it all. That song goes back to saying the answer to it all. And so that when you know that God is the answer to it all and that the Holy Spirit abides in you, the song talks much about, my God, I worship you. And this is where it gets entangled. Because somehow, y'all, we believe that worshiping God is something we do when we're at church, when we go to a building. But worshiping God means that he is with you, knowing that he is with you everywhere. Right? It is about having the conversations, being waken up like I was last night and hearing his voice and allowing him to renew every part of your life, every part of your being. I believe that when you start to seek him, that the first and most times only person he shows you is yourself. Because if you see you, then you'll see me. And if you see you, you see all of you with your spiritual eyes. And you know that you are my brother and my sister, not just my keeper. And so when you see me hurting, you hurt too. When someone hurts you, you forgive because you know that you've hurt someone too. Right? So let's be brave in this new world. I'm talking about the kind of brave that seeks God. And who seeks God then serves God. And then if he seeks him and serves him, then he worships God. So that he or she can be renewed and know that when God is renewing that water in that cup, that eventually, and the reason he doesn't need to, my talking here, the water doesn't need to be taken away or added to, because as he renews you, that water, eventually your cup and your saucer is going to overflow with the goodness of God, right? With love, the kind that you don't and you can't keep for just yourself. You have to share it. You have to. You know, I mentioned that sometimes I feel like people, it's funny enough, I thought about this last night as it relates to God, that I feel like I talk about God so much until I see it in the faces of some people where, man, that's all you want to talk about. And I kind of laughed last night because I was like, you know what? I wonder if God feels that way sometimes, like, man, here she comes again. Here she comes. But I've found that he is the answer to it all. So when you get in a spot, Miss Brenda, when you feel like the weight is coming back on, right? Ask God to renew that water, that faith, that discipline, those habits, because it's just somewhere we've lost sight of what started to bring us, or to have that cup runneth over in the saucer too. Meaning, in your case, Miss Brenda, the weight coming off. What happened when you got started? And sometimes it's just the excitement of I'm doing it. Remember the shiny new object syndrome, y'all. We can get caught up, oh, I'm doing it. And you can miss the mark and say, hey, what's working here? What was I doing to keep it going? So you have to remain excited, but free. And if it starts to come back on, do what you did, Miss Brenda. Like you said, hey, I got to reassess some things here because it's coming back. And so sometimes when we grow a little bit, we think, hey, I've made it. But when you grow a little bit, there's a lot of bit more. So my grandson says, no, Grandma, I want a lot of bit more. When I say, you want a little bit more? No, I want a lot of bit more, Grandma. So when you grow a little bit, man, when God renews you a little bit, there's a lot of bit more renewing to come. But if you would just stay in the glass, not expecting more, not spilling it, not wanting to pour it out and put some juice in it, let it be. Let it be. And so I shared with Brandon last night because I was kind of watching the game and kind of not watching it. But when the field goal, and I don't remember which team it was, when I think it was Boston. So I was watching Colorado and Boston, I think it was. And the guy from the kicker from Boston missed the field goal. And I thought about Brandon and his fight because Brandon's like, I'm just so disappointed in myself because he's worked so hard. He's worked so hard, y'all. And I told him this, like in the wee hours of the morning, because when I woke up, he had texted some more and I had missed it because I had fallen asleep. So who knows, God maybe woke me so that I'd be able to reply and respond and help him get through a moment. And I said, I thought about you when the kicker kicked the field goal and he missed. And I said, he is the kicker. That's all he has to show up and do. That's all he really practices on, is being a successful field goal kicker. That's his job. Yet, he didn't put the ball between the two poles last night, right? And who knows why? Although he's practiced it and got it probably many times over, right? But last night, it just didn't happen. So I said, well, son, you fought a good fight, but last night, it just didn't happen for you, right? But you don't look like you lost, so thank God for that. So we never know. And I said, so you can't control the uncontrollable. The kicker last night is probably still feeling some kind of way of beating up on himself. Why? Because he knows he can do it. He's did it 1,000 times over. But does that mean he doesn't come back and do what he does? Does it mean he doesn't start a new game with a new mindset? Does that mean he will never not miss again? Absolutely not. But it's the courage. It's the courage to come back, to do it all over again, to try again, if you so desire, right? And if it's God's will, right? So y'all, let's be brave. Let's be brave in this new world. But in order to be brave, you got to know that you know that you know that you know that you know. And you got to trust God, even when you don't understand. You know why? Because sometimes you're never going to understand the kicker. He might not ever know why he missed when he's gotten it so many times. You know? May not. But I tell you what we do know and who we know. Right? And that's what it comes down to. And that's, to me, the only way you can be brave in this new world. And that you can have hope, right? For the things unseen, unknown. But not unseen and unknown to God. Definitely not. So today, generate the courage to tackle, I'm going to say not your number one fear, but your fears. Your fears. I know what it is, and I will finally confront it. Because as I mentioned, we're not afraid to try. Maybe we don't try because we're afraid to fail. We don't want to fail anymore. But y'all, failing is falling forward, in my opinion. Because when you fail, there should be some understanding, some more knowledge, of what not to do, if not knowing what to do next. Where did I go wrong? What did I do? How could I have um, did this a bit different? How can I grow through this? Right? Because it says, and I'll end here, count my brethren, count it all joy when ye fall into divers temptations, knowing this, that the trying of your faith, right? The trying of your faith, and Lord, y'all know we've all been tried. Circumstances, situation, things happen to us. Some that feel so undeserved. But the verse goes on, but let patience have her perfect work, that ye may be perfect. And I love this one, entire, wanting nothing. When I tell you it's a beautiful, beautiful place to be, and space to get to a point in life where you just don't want anything. You just don't want anything, right? But you need God. And in that needing, you know that you have everything. If the needing creates a life of worship and abiding in Him and knowing that He abides in you, that your cup will eventually runneth over in your saucer. And then to get to a point where you see it runneth over, running it overing, or whatever it is, and to look back and say, it's been doing that all the time. I just didn't see it. The goodness of God has been in my life all along because He's kept me through those situations, those circumstances. I saw one of the most beautiful, wish I could show it to you guys. I just don't have it pulled up. It was a elderly couple sitting on a bench. They were angry, appeared to be angry at one another, and they were, one turned this way and the other one was turned a different way on separate ends of the bench. And apparently, the picture tells you that it must have started to rain. So the husband has the umbrella like over the wife's or whoever she is doing, protecting her from the rain, but he's still angry. And it says, love is even wanting to protect the people you love, even when you're not happy or you're angry with them, right? Beautiful. So look for God today, and know that He abides in you. And do you abide? Do you understand what that abiding in you means? And are you welcoming the abiding, right? So Big Mike says you have, let me make sure I didn't miss anything before this, and I promise I'm going to get you guys out of here. Big Mike says true to something. And then he says you have to be willing to fail in order to succeed. You don't lose if you try, you only learn. Ooh, you don't lose if you try, you only learn. Powerful, you guys. And he says, I've learned how to win by losing more than when I won. I've learned how to win by losing more than when I won. That's deep, Big Mike. He says, I sit in the shower after a game and cry for hours, but I learned something about myself that day that I'll never forget. And that's it, y'all. Be a student to your life. Be willing to learn and be honest with yourself about who you are and what you see, and become more self-aware. And know that your cup is full. It's full to the rim. And be open to allowing God to renew your mind every day so that you can be transformed and know His perfect will for your life. And your steps will begin to be ordered, not that they weren't before. You will follow the order of the steps. I heard Steve Harvey say yesterday that sometimes he was afraid to pray God's will because he felt like he would have to cut out some of his foolishness. It would keep him from doing some of the things he wanted to do. But then it came to a point where he only wanted God's will for his life. So he started to pray it. And he said something else that made me feel awesome because, and I don't know if I've said this here on the show, but I've often said in my mind, as Brandon used to say in A Little Child, you can't stop my mind from thinking. Come at me if you want to. Fight me if you want to. No, you ain't fighting me. But Steve said, fight me if you want to. Come at me if you want to. I ain't over here by myself. There you go. There you go. So y'all be brave. I will put number 2. I think I'm going to go ahead and put number 2 out there as it relates to our goals and being successful in that area. Let's see, what was it? I'll put number 2 out there and hopefully y'all saw number 1. All right, so it says, I know what time it is. It's time for me to realize my true identity and reach my goals. So we are being mindful of how to reach our goal, to know what they are, to reach them, to have a plan for them, and not deviating from that. Okay? Not deviating from that. Know that you know that you know that you know. And wait on God. But be sure while you're waiting on God that you're waiting in God. In God. Abide in Him. Worship Him in spirit and in truth. Body, mind, spirit, soul. And not just when you need something. Because you're going to always need something. Whether you know you need it or not. Right? Y'all be brave and let's do this. Let's go ahead and get ready to groove on out of here. My grooving was a little off this morning, I'm telling you, because I'm tired. I'm telling you, I stayed up in my mind and thoughts. But and I even checked the time, y'all. It was 2:08. It's 2:08. I took a picture of it. Yes, 2:08 because I ended up, and this may be too much for y'all, but I don't know why, because God worked in miracle, wonders, and signs all in the Bible. So I looked up the biblical or spiritual meaning of 2:08, and then I thought, well, it's 1:08 at home. So if I had woken up at this time or been in these thoughts at this time, and this is at the end of it, I'm ending my whatever it was last night. I'm ending it. So it was 2:08 when I ended, my whatever it was, but 1:08 at home. And the 1:08, oh my gosh, it was a beautiful thing, and interesting enough. And I have to share this with Brandon. I just put the 1:08 in, and the first thing it gave me was Islam meaning, and I didn't put that in. But Brandon, that's his choice of faith. And so I thought it was interesting because he and I was going back and forth as I was, just trying to lift him up and encourage him. And so let that say this to you, that God is for us all and that He's forever present and speaking to us because He abides in us. But can you hear? Can you hear? Can you see? And if you can, what do you see? If you can hear, what do you hear? Because there's something about the day you hear my voice, the day you hear His voice, and know that you know that you know that it's His voice. You will become brave in a way that nothing and no one can stop you. And you don't even know stop you from what? From where? You just know that there's nothing, right? And no one And Mike, I have to tell you, I thought, and I won't share that on here, but I thought about something you said to me. God brought to my remembrance something you said to me, and we had a deep, deep, deep conversation, right? And that was a lot for me. It was a lot last night for me. So I'm looking forward. Y'all keep me in your prayers as I do what I'm going to do today. And I hope I get through it without being a basket of tears, because I'm thankful. I'm just thankful. I'm thankful for every situation and circumstance that tried to take me out. Um, but it ended up growing me, completing me, helping me to be entire, perfect in Him, not perfect in me, wanting nothing, right? So y'all pray for me, pray for Brandon, because I told him, man, it takes a lot to get in and go and do what you do. It takes a lot. I couldn't do it, right? So pray for yourself too. Be brave today. So let's feed these ducks and get on out of here, you guys.